Vivek Kumarji also with us to share their views and to talk to you and to listen to your views as well. And over to Dr. Vanchana Singh ji for a session on health. And
Sure,
of course,
Didi.
my gratitude and thankfulness to Shashi Kiran ji for such a enlightening, such a wonderful, such a nice session on uh, literature and, of course, literature related to engineering. Over to you, Vansh.
Ji Didi. Ji Didi. Thank you, Manisha Didi. And now we are just about to start with our session on health with uh, Professor Dr. B.V. Kumaraswamy ji. But before that, we can just have this quick bio break for our participants. We'll be starting sharply at 3:15. Kumaraswamy sir is already there with us, so we'll be starting at 3:15 sharp. Uh, and after this whole session on health, we'll have the last session at 4:30, which just now, as was informed to our participants, we'll have um, the NCCIP chairman, uh, Professor Dr. Rajneesh Arora ji, Shishir Gaur ji, and Ruchir Gupta ji, and Vivek ji for their own sharings. But now that it is time for our physical and uh, health related module, each day we see we are going through these concepts where we are initiating this communication between body and ourselves, where we are able to work upon, interact with, and look at the basic principles through which our body can be governed. So, of course, our participants have some health related queries also, but let sir start with the session, and then we can probably take up questions from our participants. Till then, maybe we'll just lower hands for all our participants and wait for sir to pick up with the session on health. Just to introduce Professor B.V. Kumaraswamy once again to all our participants. Day before yesterday, we had Kumaraswamy sir with us, where he looked at the holistic health. And to introduce sir, a graduate in Ayurved medicine in 1973 from Government College of Indian Medicine, Mysore, followed by MD in Ayurved in 79 from Government College of Indian Medicine, Bangalore, Karnataka. He's a veteran Ayurveda expert with over 3 decades of experience and served as professor and HOD of Indian Medicine at Kidwai Memorial Institute of Oncology and as a professor at Sushruta Ayurved College, Bangalore. Presently, uh, Professor Dr. B.V. Kumaraswamy is working as director of Aarogya Rishi, an online portal for consultation on all aspects of Ayurveda, Swasthya, Arogya treatment, medicine delivery, etc. at door globally. So, since it's already 3:15, I give a welcome to Kumaraswamy sir. Sir, welcome, and our participants are waiting eagerly for this session on holistic health. Welcome, Kumaraswamy sir. Sir, is voice reaching to
Madam,
you?
whether slides are,
Yes, yes, sir.
yeah,
Akhilesh
whether
sir, the
slides are
slide is
visible,
visible, sir.
madam?
Uh,
Okay.
yes, sir. Perfectly visible. The slides are perfectly visible, Akhilesh sir. Uh, Kumaraswamy sir. Akhilesh sir, am I audible to you?
Yes, madam.
Ji, sir, the slides are visible, but are we able to connect to Kumaraswamy sir? We can't hear, sir.
Now, madam?
Ah,
Hello?
yes, madam. Yes, sir. Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir. Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes,
I'm
sir. We
sorry. I
can hear
think,
you, sir.
yeah. Yeah, namaste to everybody. I can
Yes,
start?
sir.
Yeah,
Yes, sir. If you would like to switch on your video, you can, sir.
yeah. Ah, my dear young friends, of engineering institutions. Today, you may be wondering, we are talking about food, a topic perhaps very serious issue all over the world today. At some point of time earlier, food was an issue for a different reasons, mainly essentially due to the availability to the majority of the people. But today, food is an issue for a totally different reason. There is something that all the future generation people have to understand very seriously, because most of the problems of the modern man living in a science and technology based world with a new culture, the food has become a problem. I am talking this as a medical person, especially working in the area of cancer for almost 30 years. I have been studying various dimensions, not only in India, but also in the other parts of the world. A tradition that country like India and also many other countries in Africa and South America, what they had, which was based on thousands and thousands of years of their efforts to understand, and then laying a beautiful methodology which was a part of the culture without much efforts. They were taking the best, especially because of their knowledge of their environment, knowledge with their own self, knowledge of the body, to the extent necessary for a good quality of living. Now, the irony of our situation in the presently, we laid so much on science and technology for improving the quality of life. For example, the aim was the same, and to an extent, it was also possible to have revolutions. We had green revolution, we had white revolution. There were a lot of efforts all over the world in terms of production, which was essentially very necessary in those days. So the production went on, the science gave a tremendous amount of energy, but there was something which was lacking, but it was not visible. But it did not take much time, and afterwards, what we did as human beings in the areas of agriculture, in the areas of engineering, in the areas of
Sir, we are unable to hear you.
Voice is breaking, bhaiya.
hello, now?
Yes, now it is
Yes,
clear,
sir,
sir.
it's better. It's better,
Okay.
sir.
Better means still it's not that
No, no, sir,
clear.
it's okay. It's fine
It's
now.
okay?
It's fine.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So, what happened was, it became inevitable in the end of the 20th century almost, that we have to look into what is going on, and also to understand more than the body rather than what is going on in the outside the body, especially in the environment and the way is food is produced. Then they realized that the problem, especially was more than the production, was in terms of how it is processed, because processed was technology based, and this technology based processing was essentially to industrialize and make it available over the counter. So we see this culture in Europe and in USA in a very big way in most of the developed countries. Fortunately, in India, it came little late. And all of you must also know that even today in India, this kind of a processed food over the shelf is not so popular as in the West. I'm just telling you this because food as an issue related to health is what something we will have to look into. Akhilesh, next slide, please.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. No, sorry. Now, food essentially. Why we take food? All of you know this. I need not explain this much. Especially, we need, our body needs, our mind needs, our senses needs nutrition. Especially the nutrition is the major issue, for which we look for so many things. Hello? Hello? Audio?
Yes, sir,
Akhilesh?
you are audible perfectly. Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Or
You
shall
are
I continue?
perfectly
Okay,
audible.
okay.
Yes,
Yeah, yeah, okay.
yes,
So
sir.
the
Please, please.
nutrition is something that we understood by the modern knowledge in terms of what does it contains, like calcium, vitamins, proteins, carbohydrates, all these that comes to us from the food. This was very much known, but we had a detailed knowledge of this food as an essential thing. So this we get from so many. Next slide, please. So many items in the nature, and most of this that you see in the slide. Akhilesh, next slide. See, these are all there in almost every part of India. Also, many of them under slightly different in other parts of the world also. These are all there for at least the recorded history of 15,000 years. As easily. I am telling this because all these things you find in the Sanskrit literature, Vedic literature, and also in our medical literature, Ayurveda, where all these food substances are described. So they were even today, for nutritional purposes, these are still proved to be the best that we have been using. Next slide, please. And then you have fruits and vegetables, particularly legumes and pulses, fresh fruits, vegetables, spices. These are the major components of our food. So traditionally, in along with these things, next slide, we had the products from animals, honey, milk, and milk products. They form the major chunk of our food chain. Of course, all of you, next slide, the another dimension of our food is the non-vegetarian food. This non-vegetarian food is also a major chunk of the food that is there in our country and also elsewhere. And all these things, including this non-vegetarian food, undergo processes. Please remember this very well because we have to discuss that issue. Processing of the food, as I said earlier, was an industry. It has been an industry. Now, for example, in this slide, you see the natural foods. So, the differentiation between a natural food and a processed food, and in the processed food, I would like to emphasize processing. There are two types. One is industrialized processing. Second thing is processing in our houses traditionally. Please, when we use the word, don't take it wrongly. In India, our cooking has been very elaborate and it is not a science but it was an art, and every region in India you can see very beautifully evolved technical methods for processing food it in such a way with a very important dimension and aspects necessary for the body. So when we say processing, we don't talk of processing the food for storing. In the modern thinking, the entire processing is especially for a shelf life, refrigerating or keeping in the shops and malls where people can go and take it and have it right away. But traditionally, our people knew that for a good health, for maintaining a balance of the body, what is essential is it has to be processed with a definitive idea. What is this definite idea I'm talking about? Next slide, please. Now you see, this incidentally came in the middle. Among the foods that has been there, this is something new. This is again a genetically modified food. Most of the times, people will not even know what you buy, that many of them could be genetically modified. This is one of the technologically developed thing in biological sciences and the agricultural sciences, where for increased production, this genetically modification was become such a the industrialized dimension, that everything was tried, or especially this was tried on many of the food pot aspect, and also on the animals for the production of milk. Imagine, in our Indian traditional cows, even today, if they give half a liter to 1 liter of milk, the genetically modified animals can give to 40, 45, 50 liters of milk. With common sense, you don't even need science. If you think, how can this be possible in nature? Naturally, that can never happen. We shall discuss this issue again. Next slide, please. There are many other issues. Particularly, this is again because of the modern industrialized processing. They want to increase the flavor, increase the taste, increase the look. These are all the issues for business purposes, where what rules is the market rule. Contrarily, in the traditional food preparation way, our aims were totally opposite, totally different. I'll give you a few examples. Look at this. In this slide, you are seeing the harmful effect that is produced by various kinds of processing, storaging, addition of things, and then adding flavors, and so many other things. Most of them are chemicals. See, the kinds of things people encounter very commonly: migraine is a kind of headache, asthma, difficulty in breathing, fatigue, depression, insomnia, then dehydration, headaches, nausea, dizziness is so common in the medical practice. The doctors will be encountering, and also people will be suffering this. And many of them may not be due to any particular disease as such, but they can be a reaction from your body. Next slide. There are many other things. I will not go too much detail into that, because I will be touch the other dimension. Most of the things people you may be knowing, particularly MSG, the monosodium glutamate, and many other substances, they will be present in your food. Particularly when you take food which is industrially processed and stored, or in the restaurants, many restaurants, they will be using many of these things, and there could be many other things which may not be even known. On the contrary, I told you, the concept of preparing food should be based on the needs of the body, with the respect to the body, with the respect to the various systems that we have. For this, you need a different knowledge, not the industrial knowledge, not the technical dimension of story. What India had in tradition and culture was this. For example, the freshly cooked food. We have to add the freshly cooked food, making it from natural substances which do not undergo any unnecessary process. And today we have to add one more dimension. Because of the interference of human beings in agriculture, horticulture, and all cultures, if you take, all over there also, we have spoiled the methods of tradition to grow very good quality in terms of their quality, not in terms of their color or the production, to produce large quantities with a small effort. If you take that away, then you, from a good ingredient, freshly cooked food is what was always has been in most of the cultures, not only in India. Don't think in that way. Every country had its own thing. There's a very good famous book written 50 years back by a medical critic called Medical Remises, where he identified all cultures having their own poisons, their own nectars, amrita, in their own cultures. This is because of this. For example, moderately cooked food, overcooking, improper cooking, less cooking, none of them will be good. What is moderate is the properly cooking. This can come only by practice in the tradition. Fiber rich, you have, for example, millets. Some of you may know and some of you may not know. The commonly known rice and wheat or jowar or ragi, other than these things, there are many other grains which are called millets, which are not available commonly everywhere for you. These are all mostly regional in nature, where the people grow and consume. They don't market much. Nowadays it has come. That's another, our very traditional food, but that needs some amount of additional knowledge to use them. Then you have the pulses, commonly known, fruits, dry fruits, dairy products, what we eat. So in all these things, using them in the fresh possible way, why, you may ask me, some of you may suddenly come with a question, I will cover that why also here. Why? Because all natural ingredients, natural substances, they will stay in the normal temperature with full intact of the energy. We call it as in India as a pranic energy, as a vital energy. This cannot be described in modern scientific terms. It's very difficult. But they will contain that only up to certain period of time. Even a very good cooked food, if you use beyond 3 hours and 4 hours, either in the room temperature or in the refrigerated, they look the same, color may be the same, smell may be the same, but it's their vital energies they will slowly lose. This is a natural process. Still over a period of time, then you have the microorganisms activities. Could be virus, there could be mosses, there could be micro bacteria, they will start acting over them. So when this happens, body's immunity, which needs this as a vital substance, slowly that you will not get. Okay, this is it. And the next slide, please. Now the fruits is another important substance. Now we see these fruits again. I would like to emphasize an important point. Whether you take fruit, whether you take any other substance, what we have been seeing for the past 45 to 50 years is all of them undergo complete modification, both in terms of their production, their storage, their processing, everywhere. So you get all of them in a way that how it should not be. That has been our problem. Essentially because the methods that we use today, for example, in terms of deep frying, reheating, too much of spicy, too much of oily, less fiber, and eating only one type of food, or for example, the bakery products you take, they undergo another kind of a processment. All these things, and then the food substance itself containing certain things which are unwanted in terms of pesticides and chemicals, it will come to them. All these things are the source of our problems. So I will try to talk to you a bit of why should we emphasize so much of in terms of the tradition or the culture when it comes to food. Two issues very important, you must know that. Number one, when these food substances were understood as an industrial products, and then they went to make them in a different kinds of processing and packaging and marketing, what was not known then was their effects on health. For us, health is what is very important. It took a lot of time to understand, because the process that's undergoing in the body is a very slow process. Body has a mechanism to adjust to whatever negative things that a man do, it will try its best. But beyond limits, body cannot, particularly to those substances to which the body chemistry is not familiar. For example, you will add so many chemicals will added in varieties, may not be always deliberately. What will happen is our biochemicals in our body cannot identify them. If they don't identify them, they cannot even react. You see, the body's reaction is what is known as allergy. You must have seen the word. This allergy is a negative reaction to protect itself. It's a part of the immunity. If this does not happen, it will reject. Initially reject, then it can produce some other serious problems, essentially as a defense, sometimes also as offense. Now, I will give you a classical example of a study done in USA almost 40 years back. It was a major study. That study, one example will give you how we have been able to understand what damage we did to the environment and to ourselves. See what happened during the next Second World War, after the Second World War, there was a lot of migration from Japan and Europe to America. Especially, all of you know, it is because of the engineering knowledge, technology, and also the opportunities which are available there to technology, which did not exist in every part of the world. So the America attracted a lot of people from everywhere. And that basic data of study from both Japan and Europe says, both in Japan and also in Europe and also in many Asian countries, pattern of cancer was taken as a baseline. What kind of cancer occurs in these countries? It is a large data. Then they studied, they wanted to know the effects. After 20 years of migration of all these people settled down in America, then they did the study. So the people, as all of you know, when you migrate to a country like America, they also start adapting to their culture there. Especially, they concentrated on food. So it was found that quite large number of people adopted, living their traditional habits, adopted the American style food. Remember, Japan, Asians and Europeans were the major three groups which the studies took place. And it was a shocking results. What we came was, people adopted to the new food style, 15 to 20 years, their body in terms of cancer statistics, American kind of cancer appeared in all these population. So in Japan, if the major issue of cancer was gastric cancer, that is the stomach cancer, what was in America was intestinal cancer, and in these people it shifted there. Then they started analyzing the food. So the analysis of the food in terms of body's reaction, especially in the epidemiology of cancer, appeared, and this gave a major insight into that there is a direct relationship between type of your food and the way the body takes it and reacts. This is one important example, you remember, because we are dealing with a living body. The second most important thing which came to know, not only in this study but the other studies, was the major issue in food that brings the problem is the kind of toxins that are present in the food. When I say toxin, there are three types of toxins that is there. One is called, most important, endogenic toxins. These toxins are the toxins that are produced by the body as a reaction or as a byproduct of metabolism. It is not the intention of the body, but because of the inputs that it gets, it produces that kind of a reaction to the toxins. Secondly, the exogenic toxins. The toxins outside the body which will enter into a body both through the food, water and also air. All this taken into consideration because ultimately they all get into metabolism. So this is also another toxin. Then the third toxin was, apart from food, man is exposed to so many things where everything is chemical based. Take for example, you sit in your house, your walls are all painted with chemicals. Go to a field in the agriculture today, the farmer uses all kinds of things. You breathe in. Take for example, 15 to 20 years back in India, in our cities, our air was full of lead. Where did the lead come from, which was not a component of the air? That was the pollution. So the pollution as a major thing became an international issue which also enters your body. You have no control. There is no way you can control taking this lead to your body. I think all of you now know the lead is no more there in the air because the petrol processing has undergone technological change. But there is an interesting fact. The technology attended one particular issue, but it gave rise to three other major issues. I will not go into that. Toxins are the major important thing. And remember, four important issues of health. When I say issues of health, I'm talking to diseases, are all related to these toxins. That is why pollution is a major issue. The first and foremost thing is cancer. Second thing is cardiovascular diseases. Let me give you one simple example of these cardiovascular diseases. You see, I lived in Bangalore. Bangalore during 1970s, you will be surprised to know, in a city like Bangalore, did not have a hospital for cardiology. As a student, I was doing my MD then. Now, just 10 years back, by the year 2000, no other hospitals, but every hospital was cardiology was the major thing. It's all in 25 to 30 years. There was no hospital in 70s for oncology. There is cancer. Today, you take any major hospital, oncology is a main thing. This, on one angle, you say this is a development because we have created facilities, major hospitals have come, so you have all the things to treat. But you have to look from the other angle. This is what we have done to ourselves and also to the nature. This is the fact that all of you should keep in the mind. The future technologies, all of you, the technology as an issue now needs a relook into what we do to the environment, what we do to our body, what we do to ourselves. If not, the future, we have to think of the future. So, in the food sector, this aspect, I will give you now, leaving these issues on one side, what is it that we had in India culturally to understand the food? Next slide, please. Akhilesh, this Satvik. Yeah. Now, please look in, you may not be familiar with these terms, but suffice to say that I will make it very simple. There are three characteristic features you see in our mind, human mind, or you can call it as ourselves. These three are the fundamental characters which are present both in the mental as well as in the physical dimension of man, which actually are the controlling factors. They are called sattva, rajas and tamas. I will not go too much into them, just look at them, what is it, that much is enough for you right now. If there is a balanced harmony, positivity, peace, clarity, light, that is brightness, then creativity, your openness of yourself and intelligence. These dimensions belong to this dimension of nature. These are the three which creates the entire nature also, not only human body, everything in the nature. The next one, the rajas, is basically the dynamic part, the energetic part of nature. So you have the movement, the activity, the energy, all these important factors of energy. You take electricity, you take heat, they are all these rajas basically. Then you have the tamas, the third dimension, which is opposite of this rajas, where you have inertia, inactivity, negativity, agility, then you have dullness, dark, delusion, ignorance. These are all present in the mental as well as physical. They are the tamas. So, as a wisdom, ancient wisdom, our people classified the food into these three categories. So, food that you consume, if you look at these three things, you can decide what is good and what is bad. But you must only know where they are contained in. For that, you require a bit of traditional knowledge. Which are sattvic foods, which are rajasic foods, which are tamasic foods in detail. In this lecture, I may not be able to cover. We don't have that much of time, but eventually they will, and you can be able to explain in some other parts. But remember that in these lectures, we are trying to give you only like a sowing a seed, not giving everything. All these things will not be possible. So, if there are few other things which are very important, which I will touch upon now. Now, in the type of food that you prepare and eat, there are certain things for which you must concentrate. That is, what kind of a food you eat, whatever you, next slide, Akhilesh, the food must be easily digestible. Note this point very well. If you are living in a traditional family where the food has been given a proper preference, your mothers and grandmothers will tell you that you must eat food which your body should not undergo a stress. There are so many components there. You will understand. But food must be easily digestible. One of the reasons for cooking properly in our kitchens, where our mothers, grandmothers, so much of their time they evolve, is to see that it becomes easy for you to digest so that you will not suffer with problems. Pulses like black gram, high fat or protein rich food, or even the meat, the non-vegetarian food, they are not easily digestible. Look at the wisdom of our people. Then how to convert them into such a way? If you take, for example, the black gram, perhaps well known all over India, it undergoes such beautiful processes. In South India, some of you may know about our idlis and dosa, which contains this. From thousands of years we use this. In spite of it's a very heavy, difficult to digest, we transform it into idli. Idli becomes easily digestible. That is the intelligence process. This has to be used in the traditional cooking methods. That is why you should not leave the traditional methods and go to something about which you have no idea. Better to stick to something that you know. This is a very simple advice. And then, because it takes more time, some of these heavy foods, and then whatever is very heavy is not easily digestible, remember that that also creates other problems in the body. The second problem it produces is it cannot exit from the body easily also. So to something to go out of the body, if it doesn't go and stays in the body, that is what can produce toxins. What I told you as endogenous toxins. To eliminate that part of the problem, you have to use this easily digestible food. So many of the, for example, too much refrigerated, too cold food, or you take ice creams and fruit salads after having a normal food, they will become troubleshooters in your body. And also I have seen many people taking very oily food in hotels and restaurants and then taking a fruit juice refrigerated or aerated drinks. See, these things, because of their temperature, because of their negative effect on the food that you have already taken, the mix up that gets into different kinds of problems. So this categorization that we have done here in terms of in the processed foods, they are all trouble creating problems. Let me not go into that detail. There are other aspects to be touched. I think we are all closing. The time is already closing up. Yeah. Akhilesh, next one. These details I will not go now. Let us go to the incompatibility and compatibility of food. This is another dimension. See, apart from taking foods which are easily digestible, which are traditional in nature, take them in a proper quantity, taking them in a proper season, these are all detailed knowledge. I cannot give all those things here, but an important issue like compatibility and incompatibility. I don't know how many of you know. For example, if you go to a restaurant and order food, when you take a food number one, food number two, food number three, let us say, about which you have no idea. If in their combination, if they are not compatible when they combined in our stomach, what do you think it will happen? So the combination of certain foods can be dangerous because they will produce problem. They can produce the opposite properties. Activities on the tissues can happen. They may exert some unwanted effect on the body when processed in a particular manner. See, many of the people we have seen in restaurants where they take different things, then start vomiting, or within half an hour they will get headache. They may have the nausea, then they may even get faint and fall down. See, all these things is immediate reactions, but there are also long-term reactions. Some of them are immediate, some of them are long reactions. Take for example, I had seen somewhere in Australia when these aerated folks were there. I saw every children going to a school having one bottle of aerated drinks. I don't know I should name the name or not, and also having the potato chips. And taking this both together, it has not only immediate effect, it's a very bad long-term effect because of the incompatibility. So the incompatibility was very well known in India as as an important dimension of food. So we have so many types of incompatibility. We have listed down here. Well, I can't even read them. See, simply I will say there are many dimensions that are present in the food. Take for example, you take a very hot one food, suddenly take ice cream. That is incompatible. Similarly, you take a lot of spicy with salt food. Then in the end, you go and take an ice cream or take a lot of sweet. This becomes incompatible. Similarly, honey. Honey is something about which you need a lot of traditional education. Supposing you mix that with something which is hot, that becomes toxic. Nowadays, the honey you are getting itself is processed in hot, that itself is bad. Further, you will be exposed. So there are many particularly in the non-vegetarian, there could be a big list of incompatibility when you do not know anything about them. Milk, mixing with so many of these non-vegetarian food is conditioned as very bad. On the contrary, skipping this incompatibility much, before I take some questions if it is there, Achilles, oil is another thing. Milk and milk products is another important thing. See, whenever you please, oil is important. Any fat substance, traditionally you may use groundnut oil, you may use sarson ka tail, or you may use coconut oil. Any oil, traditionally, whatever is in practice in the area is fine. But frying deeply, that is not a very good type of food. But they are always tasty. You can see in every street, in every country, town, village in India, this is available. Remember a simple point. Don't eat them like eating a food. It's not a food. You eat only for taste. Take it in a very small quantity just to enjoy for that moment and forget about it. Don't fill your stomach. And when you take this kind of fried foods, please remember, don't take anything cold. Secondly, there are certain things that you must use. One must remember also, this is one such thing. For example, quantity of food of consumption. How do you decide? This is a every aspect I may have to talk to you for 1 hour. So much is there in the information. The digestive power of our body, everyone should analyze himself. A self-analysis of this is what is very important. This is very, in simple way I can tell you, what food, how much your body requires to get digested. What quantity you have taken, what you have taken, test it in a couple of days, you will know. Normally, 3 to 5 hours is the normal way. If you are a young man, usually body will take even the negative things also. But if you are a sedentary habits, you do not do proper exercises and keep your body in a healthy way, then digestive power will come down. So in that you have to be careful. Physical activity is very important. Then the type of food you do consume, you must be very conscious and aware of. The only method presently for you is the type of food should be decided by the tradition as far as possible, decided by the culture to which your family, your region, everywhere that is used to that. Try to stick to that is the best way. Right now, I can tell you. If you if you ask me about so many stored and processed food, I would simply say, please don't ask me. Okay? Then time of consumption. This is also very important because body works on a biological clock. You can't take liberties over that. So fix the time and as far as possible stick to this, taking at the right time. The right time in simple words is body demands you are hungry, that is the right time. But like that, body usually demands about 2 to 3 times. Try to fix this particular time. Traditionally in India, two foods time is there. But third one has been added for the past 1 century. It's okay. You can take that. But try to be in limits in terms of quantity. Then the season is another big subject. Remember, some of the seasons are very favorable to eat more. Some of the seasons are not. Again here, the traditional wisdom can help you. Then the solid, liquid food or the spices, etc., and your type of movement, etc., also demands the quantity and quantity and your capacity to digest them. Keep all these things in mind and then decide what is best for you. Okay? Now, I think about time, madam. Can I go on?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir. We have 15 more minutes.
Okay,
15
okay,
more
madam.
minutes.
Oh, then thank you. Then I can use it cover other subjects also. Now, coming to uh, avoiding foods. How do you decide what is to be avoided? Particularly when you do not know anything about it. It's very difficult. It is not easy. There are some clues we can give you. For example, the food which are overcooked. Particularly, you must think of this in the restaurant when you go out. In the traditional houses or even maybe even non-traditional also, the people try to follow the minimum manners which are necessary. They don't overcook. But if you do that, be very careful. Deep fried fruits. This is something to be avoided. I had told you already. In deep frying also, there are different methods. One is with oil, another is without oil. Using the oil which is already used. This is a very important point. Oils of any type that you use, once you use them for frying, that must be discarded. It should never be used. This is one major issue in outside your houses where they don't discard that oil, can repeatedly they use, exceptionally some big restaurants. Otherwise, this is a root cause problem for many people, particularly related to the stomach and intestines. This is oil. Second, the source of oil itself could be a problem, which you will not know. You will not even know whether they are recooking them or not. In some of the cities where people know very personally about certain areas, restaurants, it is okay. Otherwise, if you are not familiar, try to avoid. Okay? They also will kill the nutrients. Please remember. Though our cooked food tastes good, it fails to touch us. Remember this one particular point. Many people think if food is very tasty, it is God. Good is different, conducive is different, Very nice is different. Very tasty is different. Taste does not decide the quality of food. Particularly in today's industrialized country, taste can be enhanced by many kinds of things. So don't go after the taste. The taste can give you a very nice feeling initially, but that is not the one which has to be decided. So avoid undercooking also, which I think undercooking is not a major problem, but some of the foods, if you do not cook them properly, immediate issue will be the digestive issues. So except those things where you can take them raw, other thing they will have to be cooked in the way they have to be cooked. They are already most or less defined how they have to be cooked. Then judicious use of spices. I think a few points are necessary. The using of spices in India is perhaps a big history. Our country was colonized in a simple way, I will tell you, essentially because of the spices. Because the spices were specialities of our food. But the judicious use that we are using is very, very important. Why do we use spices? This is a traditional knowledge. Only two, 3 points I will give you. See, the spices, people think it is because of the smell. For example, cardamom. It is used for the smell, or the clove, or the ginger, etc., etc. But remember, they were all not used for the smelling or for the color, etc., etc. at all. They are the second points, the primary points that is there in the tradition, which actually came from our Ayurveda, actually, basically, is there are things in the food and the ingredients, either by its nature or because of the cooking, or after you eat, it can develop problems. To take care all those things, spices were the intelligent methods. For example, 10, 15 years back, a new scientific evidence came in terms of antioxidants and antioxidants. This was a discovery, and that made it a revolution of the spices, if some of you know them. Because food, when it is get digested and metabolized, it all get reduces into their primary substances. During that stage, they combine with oxygen and become oxidized. Oxidized substances are toxic in the body. Our traditional, very simple spice, turmeric, has been known today in the world as the most important antioxidant. It has been marketed for that reason. Now, modern biochemical sciences have also defined quite a number of our food senses, particularly many of the fruits and vegetables contain lot of antioxidants. So this antioxidant was a new discovery, but it was a traditional knowledge. Go and look at your kitchen and see the turmeric box. A small, very, very humble, simple spice sitting in the corner, but it is doing in your body such a wonderful job protecting you. It is antitoxin also. Antitoxin quality comes from antioxidant agents quality. This is one about the turmeric. But you look at many other turmerics. Please remember traditional knowledge. Spices used for sweets are different from spices used where there is salt. Salt and sweet, two different substances, they use different spices. Cardamom most often you use for sweets. So the sweets in the market, wherever these substances are used, like clove is used, cardamom used, saffron is used, they take care of the negative properties of sugar-based sweets. In India, olden days, our present day white sugar was not there. What we were using was a different sugar, which doesn't exist now. Now we have only the jaggery. Although they are very natural projects, even though they are made very naturally, they will have certain things to counteract them. We had the spices. So the spices is a very big storehouse of very intelligent software that our people had. Used very judiciously, they are very good. So this is another point about the spices. Now, the last point. We will come to the last point. Akhilesh, next slide. This is about the hot, cold, anxious, medium. I think most of this. Next one,
Yes, sir.
Akhilesh.
Yes, sir. The principle of consumption is the last, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Can you put this slide?
Yes, sir.
Preparation and storage.
Yes, sir.
Principle of consumption of food. Yes. You put this simple slide. Consumption points.
Yes, sir.
Now, this is very important. Conclusion almost in this, you have to take home information here. Remember, now there is a culture in eating food. Standing on the footpath, be with the crowd, be with the traffic, talking to each other and eating food. So the first point we are emphasizing to you is when you eat, first thing is you sit comfortably. What do you mean by sitting comfortably? Yourself with the body in the most harmonious aspect. It may be difficult for you working, but try. Try to sit for 5 minutes in your own position. Don't do any other thing. Fully involved with the food. We call tanmayata in Hindi. Your food and your body should become one. That creates the positive energy in the body. Have a pleasant food, have a pleasant mind. Don't talk all santak your business, etc., etc. See, in the present culture, you see exactly opposite. All kinds of discussions of business, everything is done having the food on the table, even in the houses, discussing about a TV serial. I am very sorry to say this is not the way to take the food. So what happens is you are what you eat. Please don't remember. Remember this very well. Your body, your mind, everything is what you eat. Then proper chewing. Sufficient time should be given because nature has provided you a set of teeth. If you don't use them in the mouth, after the food crosses your mouth, there is no such hard place where it can be grinded. Particularly things like chapatis and puris, you have to chew properly in such a way that by the time it leaves the mouth, it should be get transformed into a soft substance. No distractions. Maybe this is too much to ask for you, but please try. Don't get distracted at least for that moment. You have given such a long time for all other things. Why don't you give it for food? Then second thing is relishing it is also very important. Eating in time. Allocate a proper time, be prepared for that and then having it. Well, here this slide also says for you a particular asana, which is again too much for us for you, but generally this is a good recommended method. Then last point, this is very much emphasized, well, not in India, but in the outside, they learned this after a long time. In England, I have been always told that hurry, worry, and curry. These are the things which as our modern civilization has brought in, which is very dangerous and very bad. Now the quality, quantity, then samskar and consumption. A word for this samskara. One for this Indian tradition lays lot of emphasis on samskara of food. In Sanskrit, samskara means samskarat gunantardanaha. You get the qualities that you require in the food, you make the bad negative quality to disappear from the food. This has been our culture. I'll give you a simple example. Coffee and tea. Every part of India and the world we take. See, look at the intelligence of our Indian wisdom, which is only not just 100 years old. In Western countries, if you go, they all drink black coffee, black tea. Our Indians did a very simple technique. Just add milk to that. That is a samskara. Adding milk is a samskara. Finished. The negative qualities of coffee and tea are taken off. The milk will do that job. This was with us because in preparing many of our kashayas or the decoctions in our houses, our people were already doing it. Say, for example, you prepare a decoction of ginger, which is strong and irritant. In the end, they will add a milk. Prepare a decoction of jeeragam. jeera, the cumin seeds. In the end, we add a bit of milk. It will balances all the gunas. Such an activity we do in all our foods. Take for example, you take curds, you nicely make it manthana samskara and remove the butter, or you may not remove the butter, it gets transformed. If the curds is bad to stomach, buttermilk is like amrita. That much of difference will take place. Then you add certain ingredients to buttermilk. Buttermilk becomes a wonderful substance to protect our intestines, to protect our stomach. This is the point on samskara. So the samskara is again a very big chapter in the not only in food, it's also in everything. Person also needs samskara. In Indian tradition, we have 16 samskaras. Before the birth itself, samskaras will start to produce the right kind of individual. That is the method we all have followed. And I think, Akhilesh, this was the last slide.
Yes, sir.
This was the last slide.
Yes, sir.
I
We'll
think
take
we
two
can,
questions, sir.
yeah, I think we can take questions now. With these things, my young friends, I want to tell you this food is a very, very big chapter. You make a point that in your life, because you are all now in your teens, just in your teens. Now you will enter the next phase of life. From that period onwards, if you can adopt even 50% of whatever I am doing, trying by learning more and from various sources, your health will be in your hands. And you don't easily become a prey for various issues that modern civilization is facing. I want all of you to be healthy, and health is our wealth. Thank you very much.
Namaste, sir.
Very, very nice, sir. There are so many participants who have raised their hands and they have their queries. So, sir, can we
Let
take
us
up
take the more
few
relevant one,
questions?
madam, so that
Yes, sir.
relevant to
Yes,
this
sir.
topic.
So
Yeah.
we would request our participants to put up relevant query, relevant to the session which is being asked. So yes, Srihari Beta, you have something to say?
Hello, ma'am.
Srihari? Yes,
Yes,
Beta.
yes, ma'am.
Yeah, please.
Sir, you have been told that vegetables and fruits are so nutritious and it is very good to our health. But in these modern circumstances, these are also being you yes, are also being just what to say made dangerous by the use of pesticides,
Yeah,
insecticides, and so on. So
it's well
what to
known.
do in
I
that?
need not tell you that. You know that. Yes. What is the question?
What do you want to know, Beta, Srihari?
Yes. Then how would the vegetables or fruits will be healthy if we eat that with pesticides and other dangerous chemicals?
Yeah, yeah. You see, this is not something simple. We can answer this question easily. This has been an international issue. See, in India, people are attending to this issue in terms of producing the best by knowing the source. For example, I myself, I am sitting in Mysore. I have created a group of farmers, all educated farmers, about 15 to 20. In the last 5 years, I have made them to realize that you protect the society and make them to grow. And for that purpose, we need proper organic manure. For this, we are rearing cows. Every farmer will have minimum 10 to 15 proper cows, and we are producing agriculture. I mean the vegetables, and we have made a groups in Bangalore. I mean sorry, in Mysore, and we supply this to household in normal, now without keeping much of a profit. These kinds of a group has to be formed. This is the only way. There is no other easy way. Government is making efforts to encourage organic and healthy growing of vegetables, and this has to be done by everyone as a responsibility. It's not somebody's responsibility. It's the only way.
Thank you.
Very
Thank you,
true,
sir.
sir.
So
We
I
all
have a
need to take
question.
our responsibility. Yes, Rishikesh, go ahead with your
Uh,
question.
so my first question is that they say that you said that aluminum and use of non-sticks are very harmful to our health. So my first question is that what are ideal materials for building cooking vessels?
What is the? Please repeat last. What are the?
So what material should our cooking vessels be made of? Vessels and
Well,
utensils be made of
uh,
such
in
that
fact, I
it
did
helps.
not touch much of vessels actually. You see, there is answer is very simple. The best material is stainless steel as on today. There is no question about it. I can't, if I say any other thing, it becomes unrealistic. So long as the food contents do not react chemically with the vessels, it is fine. That is what you have to choose. So currently it is stainless steel.
Okay. Sir, and one more question. You said that oil cannot be used more than once, right? So can you please tell
Yeah.
how to dispose of used oil?
No, the disposing today you have a technology. They are transferring this oil into diesel.
Okay.
I think you must know this. Yeah, that is the best way. Second thing is you can put it into the fields, the agricultural fields. And thirdly, it can be stored with other food substances which you are discarding, and that can become a very good cattle food, which can be transformed. But the best method is collecting them. Many cities are now doing it and transform that into diesel. And a very good fuel for the automobiles.
Okay, sir. Thank
You
you.
try to gather the information. I think it is already there. Technology is already there.
Yes, sir.
Definitely, sir. In fact, all these are budding engineers and they themselves can look
Yeah.
out for
Yes.
ways.
Yeah.
Definitely. Definitely. So, maybe next student Aditya, Vita, you have some query, and Meenu Didi, meanwhile we can take up questions from YouTube also if our participants are posting some questions. So Aditya, Aftab, Pragati, you are provided with the mic. Harshvardhan, you are provided with
Sir,
the mic.
good afternoon, sir.
Hello.
Yes. Good afternoon.
Sir,
Let
what are
Pragati say.
the toxic fruits and vegetables, sir?
What are the toxic foods and vegetables?
Yeah.
No, you cannot generalize like that. The ingredients used in the food per se are not toxic.
Oh,
It becomes toxic because way it is grown. For example, you buy a cabbage from the market. The farmer would have sprayed a lot of insecticides into that. That becomes toxic.
okay, sir.
The potatoes that you use, all the agricultural methods, they use a lot of particularly insecticides, and of course the fertilizers.
Okay, sir.
If they remain in the vegetable, most of the time suppose it remains, that becomes toxic. And of course, secondly, I told you the method that you cook also can transform some of them into toxic. You must use the right method.
Okay, sir.
Very true, very true. Our cooking methodology has to be set right. We have to focus on traditional methods of cooking instead of the
Yes, madam.
contemporary ways. Definitely, sir.
Both girls asked the question. Let me add you one thing. Today, you can go to YouTube and see. I have seen 16, 17, 18 years, 20 years old. They think that they are experts in food and start teaching on the YouTube by showing the various kinds of preparation, etc., etc., etc. You see, I don't know where do they gather information and how can they put it. There is no control over that, and I have seen many of them. What they are saying is utter nonsense. There's a very wrong method they will be teaching on the YouTube, and
Very
people
true.
gather, and people like it. These are all, I
Very
think,
true,
it
sir.
requires
These the kind of information explosion that is happening
yes, madam,
around,
correct.
and people are not verifying it
Yeah.
within their own right and just opting these methodologies and creating chaos within their own bodies. That is something which is a major issue.
Yeah, I think
Harshward,
all the young students should know that not to be carried away by the information which is simply comes by somebody who is neither an expert nor an experienced person.
definitely, sir.
Yes.
Definitely. We all our students should make right use of the information. Has to be first verified. Harshvardhan, you have some query?
Hi, sir. Good
Harshvardhan
evening.
Bache?
Yes, ma'am. Hi, sir. Good evening.
Good evening.
Sir, actually, I'm having a problem of headache, sir. Severe headache and migraine during the time of exams. Not only during the time of exams, sir. It's been from family to family. All my family is having the same problem of headache and migraine. And they says that my grandparents says that some kinds of food should not be taken due to the headache problem. So can you suggest anything that can be taken during headache and not to be taken during that headache or migraine, sir?
See, headache is a big headache for doctors. You understand?
Yes.
Headache can come to a person who's as simple as drinking a glass of water or exposed to the heavy pollution. It's very difficult. This is a personalized, family-wise kind of a thing which needs a medical analysis and the medical attention. This cannot be answered like this. I am so sorry. Please don't take it otherwise. It needs to be
Okay.
properly attended by a medical person, not like this.
Definitely.
Okay? Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
There is
Okay.
a question from YouTube.
Sunita? Yes, yes. You question from YouTube, sir?
YouTube.
Please go ahead.
Shankari wants to ask, what is the best time to eat fresh foods, fresh fruits?
Fruits.
Fruits.
Yes.
What was the fresh
Best
fruit?
time.
Fine.
Yes.
Time.
Best
Okay,
time.
okay.
Best time.
Best time to eat fresh fruits.
Yeah, I will just tell you very simply the tradition followed in India. That is the best method. I will tell you. You see, ahara and then upahara, and then you have the palahara. When you are hungry, you use the usual normal food. For some reason, you want to avoid that, you can be completely replaced by the fruits. That is one method. Second thing is, in between the two foods, you have a lunch, you have a dinner. In between, you are hungry. That is the best time to take fruit. And if you want for any other reasons, for some other reason, somewhere you are hungry, it could be in between your breakfast and lunch, somewhere in 11 or 11:30 in your office time. The best time is to take the fruits. That's the best time. People now probably looking at the medias or our cinemas. I have seen people, for example, eating full-fledged food, having a glass of milk and having one banana. You can see they show it on the movie. That is very good news for doctors only, not for you. This is not the way to take food and milk, because the body with all these kinds of things, so much you are loading, not correct. Banana is a full-fledged food. You have to take when you are hungry, not after taking complete meal. Nutritionally, it may be good, but you have already taken so much of food. So the fruit taking is in between the meals. That is the message.
Definitely, sir. The whole session has been extremely informative. And in fact, there are so many queries. And as we said, that in fact, these queries will take one complete
Yeah,
session
yeah, yeah. Yes,
to,
madam. Yes.
to get them answered. So
Yeah,
looking at the time constraints, definitely we have to uh, make this session come to an end. But the kind of information we have been getting for our
yeah,
participants over these 5 days, the
yeah,
whole, where we start looking at holistic health, where we start reading information from our body, where we start paying attention to each and every sign that we receive from our body, the kind of intake, the ahar we take.
yeah.
So that is something which we have got from you. And sir, it has been such a wonderful session. And
Thank you
hearing
very much,
from
madam.
you,
Yeah,
all these things, and maybe uh, another session we'll have with you if possible, and where we'll look forward to more pieces of information which will enlighten us and enable us to make ourselves move
yes,
towards this
madam.
goal of health which we want
Yeah.
to ensure in ourselves.
We are
Thank
there
you,
for
sir.
madam, to all the engineering colleges or AICTUs. To our service is always there. Thank you. Thank you.
Surely, sir. Thank you very much. Namaste to you, sir. And
Yes.
now, with this, we are towards the